Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you guys for joining us today. This is Gamma Pi Rho Lupus Sorority Incorporated webinar talking about lupus and autoimmune diseases, family genetics, and all of that stuff that goes into autoimmune diseases. And throughout my journey with Gamma Pi Rho, I noticed that the majority of the people who I spoke with, or even just doing different webinars, realized that so many people have other autoimmune diseases, our daughters, sons, cousins, immediate family, and the conversation just kept coming up and up and up. So I really wanted to have this today so that we could just all come together and speak on certain things. So we'll kick this off, and we want to welcome our sorors and our guests who have decided to join us today and share some of their stories regarding their history and other family members who have been diagnosed with lupus and other autoimmune diseases. Today on our platform, we have our president, Autumn Austin, our board of directors, Emmitt Henderson III, Patricia Dees, Paula Garrett, Marnetta Sanders, Ennis, Shalitha Johnson, myself, and our families who looks as if they aren't on. But we also have Nicole, Jeanette, Tiffany, and LaShawn and Chanel. So thank you guys for joining us today. It's just a conversation. It's not a, question and answer type of thing. I just really wanted to get us together at one time and just share some of the stories that we have. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And we sincerely thank you for joining us today for the Lupus and Hereditary webinar. We all know that lupus is not hereditary. However, lupus tends to run in families, so genetic factors may play a role. While lupus is not directly inherited, like some genetic conditions, there is substantial genetic components. Certain gene variations have been linked to lupus, although no single gene has proven to cause it. Studies suggest that an increased risk of developing lupus if a family member has been diagnosed, especially in the African, Asian, Latino, Hispanic, Pacific Island, has proven to cause. Even the Native Hawaiian descent. I'm going to say that again, guys. They're saying that it's not genetically inherited, but studies suggest that there is an increase. So if I have it, it's genetically increased that my daughter may have it, which they said when I got pregnant, that she wouldn't have it, it would skip a generation. And this
isn't that contradictory though?
It is. So that's what brings us here today. As I said, so many people that we speak to have family members that have been diagnosed with lupus and other autoimmune diseases. So we are just here to bring us all together today and talk about it. So, Madam President.
I think that is very contradictory. With me being in research, and I have a patient where there is 7 girls in the family, 6 of them have lupus. So I don't understand how it could be not hereditary. I don't understand that at all. I have another, my nephew's godmother, her and her mom both have lupus. So I don't understand how it cannot be hereditary. Speaking from some of us that are on the line whose siblings have it, whose daughters may have variations of it. I just don't see how they can do studies and say that it's not hereditary.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate they say that, and they say it proudly. But it seems as if people who have lupus and deal with lupus, we can kind of spot it right away, and that may be a good thing, but that may be a bad thing. So say your daughter may start having rashes on her face, or, getting lesions and stuff on her body because we have lupus and we've started to, we know the symptoms and stuff that goes on, we instantly be like, oh, we know you have lupus. But what I've come to find out, I started having symptoms at 17 that I noticed. My daughter also started having symptoms at 17 that I noticed. And they kind of took her through the same process. Oh, you're allergic, you ate something. Oh, that's just something else, and it's not this and it's not that. But me having lupus and understanding these things, I kind of kept my eye on it. But in my mind, I did believe what they said. They said that she wouldn't have it. She would be perfect. It was well, not perfect, because they said she might have heart conditions and this and this and this. And she was a preemie, but she's perfect until she got 17, and she's still perfect. And she started having the symptoms, the rashes, the extreme fatigue and everything. So at this point now, on my end, she's diagnosed with chronic fatigue, Sjogren's, and fibromyalgia. So hence the other autoimmune diseases. So I pray that she doesn't have it, but in my eyes, because of everything I went through, I seem like it's kind of inevitable, but she has not been diagnosed with lupus. Has anyone else experienced that?
I'm going through that right now, actually. My daughter has been one has been diagnosed with celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease of your digestive system, where you can't digest gluten. It's not an allergy, but you cannot digest gluten. And the other one's been diagnosed with mixed connective tissue disease, which is basically what they diagnose you with until they can get your lupus numbers high enough to diagnose you with lupus. But she has all the markers, a lot of the symptoms. And so and you don't want to project that onto them. You don't want to say, hey, you have lupus, and not everything is lupus, but right. You do recognize some of the signs and symptoms. And then you tell them, hey, you need to go check this. Hey, you need to go check that. And because you have been through that, you know what to tell them to ask for.
Right. You definitely have to be an advocate for your children as well as yourself. So, go ahead, Patricia.
No, I was just gonna say, I'll share real quick because I had a similar situation that you did, Chandra. So at 13, when Raquel started her cycle, is when we noticed a lot of changes, a lot of fatigue, a lot of this, a lot of that. They kept saying that, oh, it's puberty, it's this, it's that. But I'm noticing all of the same signs that we were going through. So it took almost 6 months of me constantly advocating. So Raquel first got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, then we went to lupus, and so right now she's got fibromyalgia, lupus, and Sjogren's. I always mess up the pronunciations. And then the oldest daughter just got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and they are testing her. Her rheumatologist is working with her, and they're watching her for lupus. Her stuff came out after she had my grandson. So they're saying in the lupus study that we're doing is that they're thinking that it's, of course, they're finally admitting that it's hereditary, but they're also talking about women and our cycles or stepping into puberty or what those hormones have to do with lupus as well. So we're working with the lupus clinic here regarding that.
I've also saw where they said that it could be other factors as far as the weather, and it's like so many things are coming into play now. But I still think it's in those genes, because mine go back when I was diagnosed. My cousin had just passed away from it, hence 30 something years ago. They really didn't know anything about it, and she didn't want to talk about it, so we didn't know until she passed away. So I don't believe that. Deuce, you want to go ahead and speak, so rhetorically speaking?
Yeah, and you guys are right, because I was told by the first doctor who even was trying to diagnose me, he checked me for everything 30 years ago and told me, well, you know what? We've tested you for everything but lupus, and you don't want that, so we're not going to test you for that. He
Wow.
sent me to he sent me to a hematologist to see if I had blood cancer. And this hematologist, he was the chief of our staff there, uh, Caucasian man, maybe about 70 years old, told me, well, you know what? We're not going to pay attention to it because a lot of Black women have low white blood cell count and low red blood cell count. We'll just let it go. I never saw him again.
Okay, yes, we definitely have to pay attention to the physicians, rheumatologists, nephrologists, everybody that we see, even down to the primary care doctor, because we know how that can be going in there, staying there for 10 minutes and, they're not really paying attention to what we're saying. And, then they start saying, making you feel like it's all in your head, and it's a mess. So we definitely have to stay on top of being an advocate for ourselves. And I hear this a lot now. You don't have to stay with that doctor, no matter what insurance that you have. You can always get another doctor. If you feel like that they are not giving you what you need and sufficing everything that's going on, then feel free to see someone else, because I do believe that there are doctors out there that genuinely care and are familiar with the disease, so they can understand it more and understand what we are talking about when we're saying things, and not directly saying, oh, it's all in your head, and start giving you these pills, right? All right, let's see. We got Emmitt coming up next. Emmitt, you want to speak?
I do. Good afternoon, ladies. Let me back up a little bit, Chandra. In regards to that statistic about them saying not being genetic or through heritage, which, Madam P, we all kind of, I feel, disagree with that as well. But are they referring to that as mainly lupus or just autoimmune, period? Because again, going far back as we go back with the diagnosis in the 90s, they were telling me that it is hereditary. And they were saying that, is there anybody in your family? And of course not. Now, being that I got best of both worlds, African American and Asian, Filipino, that it's high in that class, they were more telling me that look out for your kids of being able to have an autoimmune disease, not specifically lupus. So to me, that is more believable of thinking, maybe not exactly lupus, but if there was any type of passing down, maybe the autoimmune category more likely would be. And sure enough, my daughter is in that category now. Son, 100% healthy, no problems at all. But my daughter, she was diagnosed with fibro, which is not really an autoimmune disease, but Ehlers-Danlos syndrome has to do with joints and skin, and she was diagnosed with that. So again, to me, is it just more autoimmune, or is it more just specifically lupus?
As far as that's concerned, I didn't hear that, and that information I'm not, familiar with to say that, that is the case. It does seem like it does start off with other autoimmune diseases if they don't diagnose you right away, right? We know it's hard to get that diagnosis, and you can go in there with all the symptoms, but you can take some blood work and it'll say, oh, your ANA is saying this or that, this, that, or the other. And then, it could be, no, you don't have lupus, but you have this. And that's where those other autoimmune diseases come into play. So we got Chanel up next. Chanel, would you like to speak? Okay. LaShawn, would you like to speak?
Sorry about that. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no problem.
I couldn't get my phone to unmute. My sister and I, we both have lupus, although ours are extremely different, just like Emmitt and I's lupus. My sister has epilepsy. She also has, and I put the disease in the message feed, but she has SMA, and it is pinching her her small bowel. And so they had to put in a permanent feeding tube. And we just recently went to the Mayo Clinic. They actually reached out to us as a family and said, your issue that you're having with this SMA, we are, you know, the #1 hospital in the world that treats this, and we think that we can maybe give you some help. So as a family, you know, we made some sacrifices. My sister and I went out to the Mayo Clinic, and when we get there, they want her to eat food. Now, mind you, she has a permanent feeding tube. She doesn't eat food like we do. She can drink fluids, but she cannot eat regular food. And because she could not eat food, the second day we were there, they canceled everything. And I was so angry and frustrated because you are supposed to be the #1 hospital, and supposedly you guys used her as a case study. Therefore, you have studied her case, but they wasted our time, our money, and also gave us false hope, you know? So I can attest that it gets very frustrating, you know, but, you know, you have to keep advocating. You have to keep speaking out. You have to, we have found some other doctors that we would like to try to maybe get her to. So as far as it being genetic, I don't know. I have 2 aunts that had it. One is deceased, one's still living. I'm concerned about my son. I have several different autoimmune diseases, and his father has sarcoidosis. So, you know, the probability that he is going to get something is very, very high. So yeah, I don't believe, I think that a lot of times doctors just give us blanket answers, Chandra, because they don't really know. And I think they themselves don't agree with saying certain things. So one doctor will tell you one thing and another will tell you another. But like you said, you just have to be your own advocate.
You do. And we also know that with the different symptoms, everybody's lupus is different, although we have lupus. My lupus is not your lupus. Like you say, your sister's lupus is not your lupus. So that definitely is something that we can all attest to. But one thing we can say that we are like in one capacity is that we do understand what someone is going through, because sometimes throughout our journey, we have experienced that, or just, you know, have the deeper compassion for another person who's experiencing lupus, because you know how yours suck. So you can imagine somebody else's journey, you know, as well. Thank you for sharing. Yes. LaShawn, you had your hand up. You wanted to speak? LaShawn Hamill, Soar Phenomenal. Are you in the building? All right, we'll come back to LaShawn, and we will speak with Janae. Would you like to share?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Thank you, Chandra, for inviting me to join this topic.
you're welcome.
This topic is very near and dear to me. I have been dealing now with lupus for 20 years, and when I was diagnosed at 15, when I was getting sick, I didn't know, probably maybe like the week before going into the hospital, that my aunt, which is my mom's sister, told us that she had lupus. And we were like, why didn't you say anything? So for me, when it comes to knowing your family medical history, I really strive for that because it's so important, especially in the Black and Brown community. I know there are times where you may have some family members that are like, yeah, don't tell them I have this, or don't tell such and such I have this. And when you do that, that kind of, you know, can hinder getting a diagnosis. But come to find out, I have lupus, my aunt has lupus. My mom was diagnosed with discoid lupus roughly, I would probably say like 10 years ago. And we also have a lot of autoimmune illnesses in my family. My sister, she has fibromyalgia. I have, I think, 2 cousins that also has fibro. So it is extremely important to know your medical family history. And I strongly believe that lupus is hereditary. So that's just what I wanted to say. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And you brought up something like I was speaking earlier about how I say it's in our community that we do that. You know, whatever happens in our house and stays in our house, which is unfortunate because, you know, people will suffer and deal with stuff when stuff could have been resolved a long time ago. But yes, as I said, like you said, people had it. The more I guess back then it was kind of like, not only did they not want to share because it was in-house family business, but people really didn't know about it. You know, it was like, oh, you got lupus, wait a minute, you know, first of all, what is that? You know, and then second of all, it just sounded like it's something that you did not want, right? So that is unfortunate, and we definitely need to, well, our voices are much louder and powerful in 2024, I believe, as they have ever been. So we need to stay on that track, but definitely know your family history. Definitely make sure that other people know your history so that in the future, you know, it's known. Yes, she has lupus. These were some of the symptoms, and you know, whether you have children or not, your family should know that you have lupus and other autoimmune diseases. Because, like Emmitt said, you know, you may not have lupus, but you have the other autoimmune diseases, and that umbrella, I think it all connects. But that's my opinion. You know, it all connects in some form or fashion. So, thank you for sharing that, Janae. Let's see. I
No
think
problem.
Philly's back in the house. Are you ready, LaShawn?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Both what you ladies were saying, like with the autoimmune disease. I have 4 kids, and my oldest 2 do not have anything. But when I got pregnant with my last 2 in 2017 and 2020, they told me my 6-year-old had alpha thalassemia Bart's disease. And they told me my baby at the time, when she was born, she was spiking fevers for 2-3 weeks. She was crying. She kept saying, telling me her eyes hurt. She'd be 4 in June, but they telling me she's a neutropenia, and they're telling me these are the cousins to sickle cell and the cousins to lupus. They like, Mom, like you saying, it's hereditary, so you got to keep getting your kids checked for the rest of their life because they might spike up and flare up to lupus one day when they get older. So now I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old that I'm on the lookout for. And my 6-year-old tells me the other day, Mom, my back hurt. Mom, my eyes hurt. Mom, I'm cold. I'm tired. And as a parent, that worries me because I feel like this is my fault. I put this on him. Mm-hmm. But then my therapist and my doctor told me somebody gave it to you and your family. So I do know that I have it on my mom's side. And I told my dad to get checked. My grandmom and grandpa passed away. But he was like, he don't know where to come from. But they checked it for prostate, told him he had prostate cancer. And they told him he's on the borderline of having lupus, but they got to continue to keep checking my dad for it. So I do agree it's hereditary.
Okay, can you share, you said your daughter had a diagnosis. Can you share what you said she was diagnosed with and explain what that is for those that do not know?
A low white blood calcium. So instead of her fighting her fever off in 2-3 days, her fever lasts for like a week at a time. So they say she don't have enough white blood cells on her count. And they saying that's like the cousin to lupus and a cousin to sickle cell. And my 6-year-old have alpha thalassemia Bart's disease. And I still don't have a clue because they're telling me like I'm the carrier. He has the trait. And if he had kids, my grandkids would have sickle cells. But they said it's all spent from this lupus that I feel like I gave my babies. But yeah, that's what I'm still learning as I'm going. Because my daughter is freshly new. She's 4 and he's 6. And I've never heard of neither one of them until I had them.
Okay, yeah, that's unfortunate. That's one of the things that I was gonna ask, like, do you feel, I felt guilty when my daughter started having all these things. I was like, I was supposed to, you know, give her the world and, you know, make her life better than mine, you know, and be the best mom I could be and learn from what my parents did and, you know, make things better and do a different route.
Yeah, I have a gift because I'm going through my IV treatment and my my problems with my blood disorder and disease. Again, I'm still turning around making appointments for 2 different kids for their blood diseases at the Children's Hospital, and just seeing them go through it and cry, and seeing them stick my babies, giving them IVs, and them hollering and they holding them down. It bothers me because I'm like, you try to bear that pain for your child. And on top of that, sometimes I be weak and fatigued and having my moments where I be feeling depressed and sad, but I don't never want my kids to go through that same thing that I'm going through.
We definitely want to protect our children as much as we can. And one thing we should not do, which I know is easier said than done, is beat ourselves up if our children do end up being sick with whatever, because sometimes things are just out of our power, right? Some things is just out of our power, and we cannot beat ourselves up for something, you know, that happens as far as medically, especially when it comes down to transferring, you know, any type of autoimmune disease or lupus to our children. So don't beat yourself up. I know we've all felt that when our kids get sick. I know my dad used to tell me, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, because we believe it is in his family. So, but I mean, some things just happen and we have no control over it. So let's not beat ourselves up. Just try and do the best that we can. One great thing about it, which I always tell women who have lupus, is that we've experienced so many things having lupus and other autoimmune diseases, and we've gotten through the highs and the lows. And always know that our children are watching us. So the best thing that we can do is be the best version of ourselves, so that they can see, oh yeah, I can survive this. Not saying you have to hide, you know, when you're feeling bad, you know, they can see that, but also let them see how much of a warrior we are, and how, you know, we can get through all these challenges that lupus face. Let them know that it's not a, you know, death sentence, and, you know, we are who we are, but, you know, no matter what cards we've been dealt, you know, at the end, boom, we got that joker. We still here, you know, we still persevering, and we, honey, we still got it going on, because we are lupus warriors, right? All right, let's see. Deuce, you want to speak again? You have something to share?
I do. I just wanted to jump on what you guys were talking about, how the doctors felt it wasn't hereditary. And what they told us again 20, 30 years ago was, oh, lupus isn't hereditary, but it's familial. Like we were supposed to know what the difference between that is. I found out later my mother died at 58 from lupus. We never knew that's what she had at all. I look at my girls and I was starting to look at things that pointed to lupus, such as my middle daughter. She had the lace purpura so badly. Her legs were purple and brown because of the blood disorder. And the doctor just kind of, well, you know, the blood work doesn't say anything yet. And when my oldest daughter was diagnosed, all her symptoms would come into play, and the doctor said, finally, he pulled out the lupus factor and the blood work and said, please hold on to this because it's gold. It's going to tell you the next time she goes to the doctor, yes, she does have lupus. And so we do have to persevere. We just got to keep going. I wanted to also say that sometimes we, especially in the Black community, we don't share that grandma had this or daddy had that. And we sure don't share when it comes to stuff like lupus, because back then people would ask, oh, is it AIDS? Do you have AIDS? No, I don't have AIDS. And then you had to explain what lupus is and why it's autoimmune, where your body attacks itself, instead of immune, where something else has attacked your body.
Right.
And once I finally got that through to them, my youngest daughter comes up. She's having mental disorders. My doctor had just told me that I have white matter disease from lupus. And I'm thinking, you know what? Is that my fault? I'm giving my child a mental disorder now. She's been diagnosed with schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. It's like schizophrenia. No, you know what? She hears the same voices as a schizophrenic hears. It's not like it, it is it. So we do need to know our history, but we need help with that. Our doctors need to help us. Our family needs to help us.
This is true. This is true, Sor. This is so true. Yeah. Let's see. Wow. That, along with the other symptoms that we experience, um, we have to bring the mental aspect to it to the forefront. Because I know I was terrified when I was diagnosed because, for one, I didn't know anything about it. And then I just thought how at 17, I had this plan of how I was going to go and how I was going to do it. And, got the cape on. I'm, superwoman, although now I have to be super warrior woman. But that those diagnoses and being told that there's no cure, that's a whole nother subject in itself, being depressed from it. I think we can all admit that sometime during our journey we have experienced depression, and sometimes it's easier for others to deal with it. They can block it out, they can go through it and then move on, and then sometimes people just sit there. And it's unfortunate because it's so weighing on you, and it weighs on the other people who are around you. So we definitely have to check in on one another, and definitely, that's why discussions like this and sororities and different webinars are so effective in letting other people hear your stories, so that you aren't alone in this and you can get through it. And although there's no cure, we can survive, we can flourish, and just be an amazing person. We have so many sorors who are achieving greatness. They are surpassing what they thought they could do. And that's when I look at lupus as being a blessing, because I may not have been such this, amazing woman. Had I not had lupus, I would have been, something else. And it pushes you to not have that thought, oh, I have lupus, I'm just this person with lupus, and there's nothing that I could give. But that mental health is something, and we definitely got to, like I said, check in on one another, and just try and uplift everybody that you can. And we're definitely praying for your daughter. We know what she's going through. We thank you for being open and sharing that, because that can be quite difficult to deal with, I'm sure. So let's see who we got next. Shalitha, you wanted to speak?
Yes, I just wanted to hop on and speak really quick so I could get some rest. But hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
In regards to everything you guys spoke on, I think the things that you guys said led up to me speaking, because it has an aspect of all of those. For
Okay.
me, I want everybody to remember that when it comes to hereditary and genetics, those are two different words. Lupus
Right.
is genetically transferred. So we want to look at that and remind ourselves that when you think of genetics, it's a pedigree chart. We learn that in science all the time. So there's always a probability of something being passed down. So when we look at things and we're like, do we have family members? Do we know where it came from? For me personally, I was the first one in my family diagnosed, in my immediate family. I did not know my dad's side of the family, but I was then made aware in my late teens that my great aunt, my aunt, who was 2 generations after her, they all had lupus. So lupus has run in my family, specifically in women, and it has gone normally 2 generations after each other. I was diagnosed at the age of 11. I originally became sick at 7. They tried to diagnose me with schizophrenia. They tried to diagnose me with bulimic, because I couldn't keep anything down. It took a while, and then putting me on prednisone to see, like, okay, it's not reacting with the prednisone. It has to be something more. I then found out at, I want to say about 25, that my sister has it. So my sister has Sjogren's and lupus, but they have it categorized from connective tissue. I currently have lupus. I have Sjogren's, and I have rheumatoid arthritis. At 11, I was diagnosed with Sjogren's and rheumatoid arthritis. I was diagnosed with Sjogren's, I want to say 3 years ago. I also have leukopenia, which is the malfunction of the blood where I can't produce white blood cells. And I have a TB mutation of the blood of lupus, where my lupus cells actually eat the white blood cells, and it is similar to having sickle cell anemia. So that goes for you too, Lala, what you are dealing with your children, because it all started off as just SLE. And as my SLE formed, it decided to go to other things. I also have central nervous system lupus. So there can be times where I can be talking to you and I can completely zone out. And then I'll pick up the conversation and be like, you was not just talking about that, girl. What just happened? It's because it'll do a short in my brain it's like a spark. And then I'll stop. I forget what we were talking about. And I'll just jump to a whole nother category because then my brain switched to whatever else I was thinking about. So it's just looking at those. And as far as now for me and my sister, us being the only ones in our active generation, even with my cousins, are both of our children. Well, one of her youngest child and my child has it. Unfortunately, I did blame myself a lot for my daughter, but I gave her a birth defect due to medication they gave me with lupus. So you have to be mindful with things like that if you're childbearing age, because they can tell you also the medicine can work, it can help, but what doctors are telling us, what they're being taught, what they're learning, and what somebody is saying and hypothesizing will work. We still have to do our due diligence and our stuff as advocates for ourselves to make sure we know what we're doing. So with that being said, I knew there was a possibility that my daughter could get it because of her dad's family as well. So I was aware that someone in her dad's family had it. So I knew there would be a higher probability. So that was just something that I grew to learn, but just educating yourself and asking those questions. Please don't hide it. I used to hide it a lot. I know in high school, people, they said the same thing. Like Big Sister said, they asked about, did I have AIDS? So imagine being 14 years old and somebody asking you if you have AIDS because you have to have these special accommodations. That really made me find my voice as I went through that, being young, not knowing, and being one of the first kids that they were able to diagnose at the University of Chicago for a coma. I was their first confirmed 100% this little girl has lupus. We know it's nothing else but that. So it just took me learning the difference. And one thing I did want to share with you guys, and I'm done, I promise.
No, take your time. We really appreciate you sharing this with us. That's what we're here for today, so everyone can have a voice and, you know, share their stories, because, you know, Lala may have not known that. Now Lala can say, oh, I can talk to, you know, Shalitha.
I did not know. I'm glad I'm taking this all in. Thank you guys.
Yes, mommy, my nephew, he has the same thing your son has. And his form of his autoimmune, it messes with his color. So my nephew, all of my sister's children are from her husband, and with his mutation, it messed with his pigment. So he cannot form melanin in his body. And that's part of the autoimmune condition as well. So being in my predicament and being able to just see everything, because we went from my whole family saying, okay, we know Shalitha is sick, now to we know Shalitha is sick, Shalitha is sick, Ryan is sick, Aaliyah is sick. Everybody now has been reporting symptoms and letting each other know. So then we were able to know that now my middle nephew, he may have Sjogren's. So it was just us really growing and understanding. So it made me go back. And that's why I want to share with you guys with my research, because with all of those, because of the pedigree, there's going to be one specific thing that each person can get within your family tree. And what I've been researching is an antibody. It's a part of the RNA, but it is a receptor called the TLR7. The TLR7 is in each person that has any form of autoimmune condition. And it's the one determined factor that is a gene that actively shows them lupus. When it is mutated with the SSB and SSA antibody and it binds to a protein, that is how they're able to tell you if you are going to be predetermined to have lupus. So I did just want to present that to you guys today, because it's hereditary. it's going to be, we're going to have to really try to fight for them to consider it that. But genetically, 100%, everybody's that has something, somebody in your family is carrying that receptor.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, and so well said. We so appreciate you sharing that with us today. I know I learned something. I think you can never stop learning when it comes to this disease. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations and discussions, because just being able to share. So thank you for taking the time and being so open and, sharing all of that. I know it was in my family, and like I say, I got it from my father's side. My cousin that passed away the same year that I was diagnosed, she had it, but no one talked about it. So I'm not sure if she's the first one who had it or whatever. I haven't gone back that far, but I do know since she passed away, it became more open when people asked, but they said she didn't die from lupus. She died because she wasn't taking her medication. How long she was living with it, I still don't know. But since then, I know that I have cousins that have been diagnosed with lupus and autoimmune diseases. And so it is still going down the generational line. So we must definitely, continue to let our families know what's going on with us. And, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Let's see, Paula, you'd like to speak and share today?
Yes, I would. I just want to say, Shalitha, thank you so much for sharing. That really helped me a lot. I remember when I got diagnosed, I was much earlier when older when I got diagnosed, and no one in my family had it. They didn't know what it was. They too always equated it to HIV or is it contagious? Well, what is it? Those are the questions that I got asked in the very beginning. So it made me be shy when I went out or didn't want to go out or didn't want to go out and talk because, again, I was still learning the disease and I didn't know much about it back then. It was really hard to really dig and get information. And then if you have your family who is supposed to be your support, giving you the same business as everybody else, it made me want to not talk about it. My father was adopted, so we didn't know much about his side. So my sister and I, who's on here, we really did lots of research and we hired investigators trying to find out where it came from, whose side of the family was it on, that kind of thing. And it was really, really hard to get any information to understand where it came from or who had it, just to get some support from other family members if they had it, what they did with it, any treatment, any of that kind of stuff. And so, Shalitha, I just want to tell you thank you because I have a daughter who has mixed autoimmune. And we found out because she ended up getting pink eye her sophomore year of high school. And going to doctors over doctors after doctor after doctor, come to find out it really wasn't pink eye. The doctor said, this isn't clearing up, this isn't pink eye. He said, does anyone in your family have lupus? And my daughter turned to me and said, yes, my mom has it. So he immediately sent her to Phoenix Children's. And so when they got there, we went through a whole bunch of testing. Long story short, she has mixed autoimmune. So there's 3 different types that it could be. She has, maybe 8 or 10 of this, 5 of this, 5 of that, but not enough to definitively say it's lupus or it's this or it's that. So she's gone through a lot of health challenges with it as a female. And her story is challenging for her. She's had several procedures that she's had to go through before she was even 16, blood transfusions, all of those things. And now she's 25 and she's just coming to terms with how to deal with it and what it's like living and walking with it. But as you said, I believe Chandra said it, the way we walk with it, the way we talk with it, how we live with it has helped her, I believe, see that you still can have a life with lupus. You can still move, you can still thrive. I still work out, I still dance, I still do all of that. And
You have
when we had the sneaker ball, I just want to say a lot of the people were like, oh my gosh, you know, LaShawn, Levita, myself, Tamiko, Patricia, we were out there still gigging. You can still live and thrive. You just need to make sure that you take care of yourself in that time. And so she's understanding that and knowing that she has a ton of doctors that she's going to have to see. There's going to be medications that she's going to have to take. But as long as you can still take care of yourself, I believe that you can still have a life and be happy. And so, again, I can't say enough, Shalitha, thank you so much. I'm glad that we're recording this because I definitely want to share with the rest of my family.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. You said you had someone on. Who did you say you had on with you?
My
Paula?
sister Monica, I believe she's on Java Joint at the bottom somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And she was with me when I was diagnosed. So she's been with me in this journey from the very beginning, from diagnosis to now.
Welcome, Monica, and thank you for supporting not only Paula, but all of us today. We appreciate you coming on. Emmitt, you want to speak?
No, I was just actually just applauding the support that Paula is getting, as we all should. So that's all.
Absolutely. It always makes a difference when you have that support, whether it's family, you know, friends, or, you know, sorority or support groups. And so that always makes a difference. More so with the support groups, because a lot of family members don't understand lupus and what we go through. They're, you know, very compassionate and, you know, hate to see us going with what they're going through, and of course want to make it better. And you're telling them how you feel, and they're like, oh, you know, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm tired too. And it's like, no, my tired is nothing like your tired. So when you can speak to someone who goes through exactly what you go through, you know, it just hits a little different. So continue to, you know, reach out and, you know, have your team, you know. And I see so many posts that say the people most close to me are the people who were strangers that I met on Facebook. So that's a statement in itself. So it's not always the people you grew up with or the people who share your same, you know, DNA. Sometimes it's other people who have come into your lives and made a world of a difference. So, you know, always try and be there for someone in some form of capacity, no matter what it is. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. We have a bunch of messages here. Let's see. I'm going to start from the top. Good afternoon, Nicole. Thank you for joining us. Chanel, thank you for joining us and sharing your story. Nicole says there have been genetic studies that link it in families. Yes, it has been. Let's see. One daughter, Patricia said one daughter has lupus and fibro, which she spoke about. And let's see. Sorry, guys, I don't have my glasses on. Let's see. Hey, Kyra, thank you for joining on. We appreciate you always supporting us and, you know, logging on and taking the time to be a part of our lupus adventures. Let's see. Let's see, Nicole. Let's see. Deuce says all three of my daughters have genetic markers, which she spoke about. Thank you for sharing, Janae. Hey, everyone. Chanel spoke about her sister also having the SMA syndrome. Let's see. Let's see. LaShawn said everyone should distinguish genetic versus hereditary. That's what Sorors Shalitha spoke on. Oh, I did not know that. Sora Levita said that her mother had lupus? Did you want to speak about that, Lavita? Is that something you want to share with us today? Okay, let's see. All righty.
I'm
But yeah,
sorry, I couldn't unmute. I could not mute the phone.
hey, Vivi, all that partying. Congratulations again.
Yeah, I'm trying to wear out a little bit.
Oh,
I had a
thank
great time though. Shout out to LFA Heartland chapter. Patricia and them did their thing. That was really good. So yeah. Woo woo. But yeah, so my mom was diagnosed with lupus when I was young, when I was a child. So I grew up with RA. My sister and my brother have RA. My mom also had rheumatoid arthritis as well. So she's always, so I knew about lupus, but I didn't know about lupus. So I just knew that my mom was tired a lot. She worked, but she was always really tired. She always had, her body was always hurting. Like from long as I can remember, my mama's body is always hurting. So that was just a thing with her. So, you know, as a child and growing into a teenager, you get like, okay, here she go again with her body hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't realize, you know what I'm saying? You don't realize like what she's really going through until I got hit with it myself. And so I wasn't, they didn't go straight to lupus with me. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia after I had my son is when I really start having problems. So they said the RA, the juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, they said I had grew out of that. I didn't have that anymore. So that's what they were saying. But I was running track in high school, and it was getting to be hard for me. So it was like, it was really wearing. I love running track, but it was that's where it kind of started, like in high school a little bit. So they was like, or maybe it's like growing pains and things like that. So it was chalking up to all kind of other stuff, you know, but it was never lupus. So I got diagnosed from the disability doctor. I got diagnosed in 2009. So my doctor and rheumatologist didn't tell me that I had lupus. So apparently they knew it and it was marked down in records, but I didn't know. And at that time, I didn't really know to advocate for myself and things like that. I thought I had fibromyalgia. I was researching fibromyalgia. So I did the whole study about fibromyalgia. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 1996 after my son was born. So they was like, because you know, it was a traumatic birth. I had a very hard time with his birth. So they said it was something traumatic. So that made me have fibromyalgia. So that's where it started. Then I ended up with having ankylosing spondylitis. As things progressed on. 2009, I couldn't work no more. I was passing out at work. It was a lot of things going on. My body was really acting crazy. They were testing me. They didn't know. They thought I was crazy. They thought I was making up pain. You know, it was just, I had to go see a psychiatrist. It was a lot going on. So in 2009, I went to the disability doctor. And he said, well, you having all this stuff because you have lupus. I said, no, I don't have lupus. My mom has lupus. And he's like, no, you have lupus. And I said, no, I do not. My mom has it. I said, I don't have that. And so he showed me the information that my rheumatologist, who didn't tell me, but sent it over to the disability doctor and showed the blood work and showed me, and he broke it down and told me, like, because they did extensive blood work with, but they never said you have lupus. Like I was in and out the hospital, but they never used those words and said that I had lupus. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I sat in there just crying when he was showing me and telling me that I had lupus. I was like, what? And so I just started crying because I know what my mom went through. I seen how my mom was, you know, how she suffered and how she was going through things and stuff like that. And thank God my mom is still alive right now. My mama, she just was in the hospital and stuff, but my mom is still alive. You know, she is, you know, doing things or whatever, and she has lupus. She's 77 years old, and she's had lupus since since I was young, since I can remember, far back as I can remember. She's always had it. So and she has longevity. Her life is, she's lived a long life with it.
Yes.
She has complications, she has problems, she got kidney issues and things right now. But she didn't have kidney issues when she was younger. Do you understand what I'm saying? She has them now, but she didn't have them before. She just had her was always getting sick, was really susceptible, you know, she can get sick easily and things like that. So but yeah, she does now. My grandmother didn't have it. They didn't suspect my grandmother. I don't know where my mom don't know where she got it from. She hates that I have it, and that I had, you know, I went through a little bit more things that she went through with having it. Like for my age, she feels like I had it worse than her. But I have other things, like I have Sjogren's too. So I have other things with it that she doesn't have. But you know, she has the regular, like, high blood pressure, diabetes and stuff like that, you know, also dealing with her lupus. But yeah, so it was a long process for them. So 2009 was when I was diagnosed with lupus, and I didn't know much, because mama didn't know much. She just knew this is something they told her she had. She didn't research it. She just was taking medicine, whatever they was giving her, steroids here and there, pain medicine. She was taking aspirin. At one time they were saying aspirin would help, and she was taking aspirin every hour. I mean, they was doing all kind of stuff back then when she was diagnosed. So they didn't have a lot of information back then when she was diagnosed with lupus. So it's been a journey. So yeah, that's kind of my little story, and here I am now. And I'm just, you know, I refuse to let it define me. I refuse to let it be my story. This is not my story, you know. Right now I have faith in God. I believe that if God want to take this away from me, he will. I have faith that I'm going to live my life to the fullest with lupus. So, and I believe everybody should. I don't think people should let this define them. I don't think we should let this yes, we all go through flares, and we're all having pain, and everybody's different, and some people are worse than others, but I think we should keep pushing forward and show people that we are more than our lupus. We're more than that. So, and again, like I said, my mom is 77, and she's been living with this, and she's still alive, and she still has lupus.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, testimony, prime example that we can live with lupus. Yes, we'll have our days when, you know, some are better than the others, but she said her mom is in her 70s, and she's had it as long as she's been alive. She up that, right? You're right, BB.
Yeah.
But yes, but you know, so you can survive with it, you can live, you can thrive with it, you can be all you can be. Yes, so thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your story. I myself did not know about your mom, so not good to hear, but good, you know, good to know. So, and everybody who's dealing with something, you know, sending prayers. I know Soror Kim isn't feeling her best right now, so I do want to take time and for everybody who's not feeling their best. Do we ever really feel our best? But as best as we can be for those who aren't feeling how they felt when they could conquer the world. Sending prayers to you all, Madam President. I know you still you've been dealing with stuff for some time. To me, it seems like since you had COVID that the first time. So kudos for you for pushing on and, you know, being an example to all of us and everybody who's going through something. I know we don't always speak about how we feel. You know, we get that lane, oh yeah, I'm doing okay. And then, you know, how we really feeling. So, you know, always have someone that you can you know, really break down. You know, I'll say, how you doing? They'd be like, oh, I'm doing okay. No, really, this is me. How are you doing? You know, it's okay to share if, you know, you feel like you're able to. because we all do care at the end of the day, you know. Let's see. Emmitt said when my dad had COVID, what's wrong with him, and the fact that the doctor told him it leads to lupus. I have never heard that. Thank you for sharing that, E. Let's see what else we got here. Kyra says she don't want to drag anybody else down the way I feel. You know, Kyra, a lot of people feel like that. I went through that where I felt like that, where I get on the phone and start talking to somebody and I'm feeling bad and I'm calling them because I'm feeling bad and just need to be cheered up. And I, you know, oh, how you doing? And they get on this spiel about how they're doing. And it's like, it distracts me because I'm like, oh, okay, I want to make them feel better. And in the end, it makes me feel better. So, you know, don't feel that way. Find you someone that you can talk to and you can relate and, you know, let your guard down. Because trust me, it can bring you down. It can. But together you guys can uplift one another and, you know, find the happiness in it. Because at the end of the day, no matter what we're going through, we should always find some type of happiness that keeps us going and keeps us motivated to fight this disease. I always think back to the time when I felt like I was at my worst and then think about everything I did after that. So I know there is another day. Let's see. Nicole said there's a study done who served in North Korea. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have my glasses on. Lupus affects the eyes. It's not just age. Vivi also spoke about how your symptoms can manifest into other things, hence all the other different autoimmune diseases. But also, we definitely need to speak on, before I let you guys go, because I know we've been on for an hour. I want to touch on the kidneys before we leave, because we know lupus can affect every part of the body. And who, baby, when it started affecting those kidneys, it's unfortunate, but we got to take care of our kidneys. We got to make sure we go pee in a cup. You know, if you have lupus, most likely you're seeing your doctor every 3 months. That's what I do. And we supposed to, but we know how we do. You know, and you're supposed to get that blood work. You know, you're supposed to get that urine test. Stay on top of those kidneys, guys. We have warriors who have had kidney failure, have received kidneys, have had to do dialysis, and they are thriving. They are living their best lives. But we also want to know that although we can't do it, let's try and make sure that we prevent it so that we don't, you know what I'm saying, have to go that route. So definitely stay on top of those kidneys. Sending prayers to everybody who is suffering from chronic kidney disease, lupus nephritis, and, you know, stay on top of those kidneys, because, you know, once they start going, you know, they're going, you know. Luckily, I myself am 4th stage. I have been fluctuating from 3rd and 4th stage, actually over 10 years now. The way it's progressing, I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know why I haven't had to do dialysis. I just pray that I don't. But looking at the people who I have met since I've joined this sorority, I know that used to be my scariest thing, not dying, just having to do dialysis, because I'm like, I'm tired already. I'm exhausted. And all I hear from people who do dialysis that, oh, it kind of wipes you out and you have to go so many days, you know, so many times a day and stuff. But when I tell you the people who I have come in contact with, Emmitt, Shakira, Kenyatta, who have been blessed, Patricia, who have been blessed to, you know, unfortunately have chronic kidney disease or lupus nephritis or kidney failure, and then have been blessed to have a kidney or just been able to do dialysis and stuff. They are some powerhouses. You know what I'm saying? They show us lupus in a whole nother way, and nobody's lupus is better than the other. Nobody, you know, it sucks, guys, and we all know that, and we don't want to live with it. But the cards that we've been dealt, and we will continue to be dealt with those cards, we just got to stay encouraged. We got to continue to love on one another. We got to check in. We got to come together. At the end of the day, we are one. We are one. We are one lupus community that needs one another, guys. We need each other, and we got to continue to, you know, empower one another. You know, I love seeing my sisters being a beast. When I tell you lupus will not stop us, They are a living testimony that lupus will not stop us. It can't. Our voices have to continue to be heard. At the end of the day, no one wants to have lupus, and we surely don't want to pass it down to our beloved children, right? Speaking of children, my daughter has finally came on here. As I said earlier in the conversation, she started going through symptoms at the age of 17, the same time I did. She is now 27 years old and have been living with, she has not been diagnosed with lupus, but she has been diagnosed with Sjogren's and chronic fatigue, and what else, Stank? Oh, I'm sorry, beloved.
Fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia. So, you know.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sanjay. I am Chandra's daughter, or as some of you know, breaking news. Like she said, I have been diagnosed with a few different autoimmune diseases, but not formally with lupus. But I am just so thankful that I have my mother. She is just so supportive. And I don't want to have lupus, but I'm glad that I have somebody in my life like her, because I see what she went through. And like Levita said, I used to see her when I was younger, and I'm like, how are you tired all the time? How are you tired? I don't understand how you're tired all the time.
You ain't did nothing.
Exactly. You haven't done nothing all day. How are you tired? And then as I got older, I completely understood. And I tell her all the time, Mommy, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I completely understand now. But I'm just so thankful that I have somebody like her in my life who is so supportive, and we understand what each other is going through. And she's so strong to me. Like, even on her bad days, like, I can tell when she's not feeling her best, but she always pushes through, especially being a part of this sorority. My mom always pushes through. And I just thank her for being so strong and not letting me see her at her worst, because to me it helps me, because sometimes I be feeling down and I don't want to do certain things, but when I always see her and I know she's so supportive and always there, and we can have an open conversation about things, I know that I got to keep going too. So I just thank you for that, Mommy, and I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you, bud. Thank you for joining us today. We don't want to keep you guys. Oh
my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
That's my beloved, y'all. That is my only child. They told me, you know, I could have her, but she's gonna have a birth defect, and you know, all these things. And but no, she wouldn't have lupus. Like I said earlier, they said it was gonna skip generations and stuff. So I was worried, but I wasn't worried. But she came out being a preemie. She's like 4 pounds, and I was like, does she have all her fingers and toes? Oh, she's perfect. So you know, I'm the one who ended up staying in the hospital. She was fine, but like I say, as she began to live her life, the disease progressed. And we all know that the disease can progress, where you may be diagnosed with, I was diagnosed with discoid lupus. And then next thing I know, I had systemic lupus. So you know, all the things start coming into play, you know, unfortunately, that's up under that umbrella. So you guys stay encouraged. I thank you so much for coming on today. I've been thinking about doing this for some time now, because every time I spoke to someone, it was like the same conversation. I was like, we got to get us on and just, you know, share some experiences. I truly, truly hope that you guys learned something today. I did. That's why these platforms are so important. I know sometimes we say, oh, I've heard that before, and I don't hear this story, and she said this and said that. If one person can get any information out of anything that we present in Gamma Pi Rho Lupus Sorority, we will continue to do these platforms. So thank you so much, all the sorors who logged on, all the family members, all the other lupus warriors from different organizations. We thank you so much. We love you. And we want you to keep fighting. And you guys know who Gamma Pi Rho Lupus Sorority is. You can find us on social media platforms. Honey, we got these auxiliaries coming up for women over 55, the Silver Warriors. We got a class going now. We'll continue to have classes. We will continue to thrive. We got the dimes and seals for dimes for young children under the age of 17. And then the SEALS auxiliary. So we are more than just lupus. We are more than just a sorority. We are more than just, oh, I pledged a sorority and I'm going to wear these jackets. We are out in the community. We have we are nationally known. I'm gonna say that again. We are nationally known. We have people in Las Vegas where we were founded at, and they are doing their thing. They're even shout out to Madam President. She's even running Colors of Lupus Nevada. So the yelling that we're doing about lupus and trying to get the word out is you think you hear us now. We are going to continue to get our voice louder. We have Sorors in the Midwest and Chicago and Wisconsin and Missouri, and they're doing their thing. I mean, they bad. When I tell you Gamma Pi Rho Lupus Sorority Incorporated got it on, please believe me. Please believe me. We are not the first, but we are the glamorous ones. So one time, Gamma Pi Rho Lupus Sorority Incorporated.
We're the one that matters.
And that's our president, Madam President. All right, guys, you have an absolute wonderful Saturday. And until next time, we will see you soon. Take care of one another. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Pete, for logging on. Thanks. Bye, guys. Thanks for logging on. Thank you so much, Deuce. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dion, for logging on. I'm sorry. Shout out to Male Lupus Warriors. Ella, thank you for logging on. Tamiko, Sword Theatrics, thank you guys for logging on today. And it has been a pleasure. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. We are so appreciative of all the support that everyone shows us sorority. Take care, guys. Bye.